can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another weekend in some hockey town. With a pucked up parents, frozen toes, big hearts, bad luck. With a pucked up parents, one more tourney, one more puck. We're broke, we're loud, we love this grind. Cause our kid just scored and we lost our minds.
Greetings and welcome to Pucked Up Parents. I am Michael. We are at episode 32. 32. Well, that's the freezing temperature of water that turns into ice. Now, the temperature to boil stuff is what it currently is in the Cincinnati area right now. It is a scorcher in the Cincinnati region. It's so hot. Angela, how you doing?
Well, now that you've done your number pun and talked about the weather, I'd like to welcome everyone to our podcast. We are the Pucked Up Parents. We have been youth hockey parents for the last 12, almost 13 years now. And we are non-traditional hockey parents in a non-traditional town. We didn't know anything about hockey before our kids started playing, and we have learned a lot and are still learning things every week, as you'll hear on the podcast.
We're just two dummies from Kentucky who have two sons that play hockey. We have an 18-year-old who's soon to start ACHA Division I hockey and a double-A hockey player with the Cincinnati Junior Cyclones. The Cyclones are an ECHL organization out of Cincinnati, and they have junior teams just like most minor and major hockey teams. So as we do every week, Angela, let's get into what happened in our lives last week in hockey. What do you got?
This very exciting. Our 12U spent the week at Miami University at their hockey camp, which is
Yeah,
the highlight of his summer.
we actually had some listeners at Miami Camp. One of them commented on my post and said their child was there the same weekend. So, Pucked Up Parent listeners at Miami Camp, observations from Miami Camp. You have any? Because I have one. I think we might have the same one.
It was the 12U boys camp going on at the same time as the girls camp. Obviously, they were in separate dorms, but once everybody got checked in, the chaos of the boys' dorm and the relative calm, collected organization of the girls' dorm was quite fascinating.
We were outside with the kids and they gave speeches and everything. And all the 12U boys were just running around like they're hopped up on caffeine. And as we left, we walked by the girls' dorm who were outside doing the same, all the speeches, everything. And all the girls were sitting in a circle and paying close attention to the counselors. Meanwhile, you could hear the boys screaming off in the distance. So the difference between the boys and girls, I'm sure the training was way more disciplined on the girls' side. I did watch part of one of the girls' games that were very good. We got to get a girls hockey player, coach, parent on this show.
Absolutely. The girls' game is growing so much. It was great to see the girls at camp this or last week, and great to see that side of the program growing as well.
Another story, hockey related. I'm trying to replace our cell phones. iPhones, big pain in my ass. Just replacing the family's cell phones. And they have an exchange program where if your phone is flawless, you get full price for a new upgraded iPhone. So I'm running through the list of all of our phones. And lo and behold, if you have a cracked screen, you don't get full credit. Well, guess who has a cracked screen? Nope. Not the 12U, not the 18-year-old. Angela does. Why is this hockey related? Angela, please tell our listeners why your phone is cracked because of hockey.
Well, I think I got a little overexcited when we were at nationals. When we scored in overtime and started banging on the glass, my phone was in my hand and I thought I was protecting it by hitting the glass with the back of my palm. But apparently, I also hit the phone on the glass and the corner of my phone is cracked because of that.
You see Bruce Banner turn into the Hulk. I think I'm slowly witnessing my wife turn into I don't want to say hockey dad, but an obsessed crazed hockey mom on the glass, banging on the glass. We've talked about banging on the glass. And not only did you bang on the glass, you used your phone. Shame
Well, I
on
didn't
you.
use my phone. My phone was in my hand and I kind of was just very excited and was hitting anything I could on the glass because it was a score in overtime to advance us to the next round. It was pretty exciting.
That
So
doesn't make
for the little crack on the corner of my phone, I'll do it. I would do it again.
I guess well worth the sacrifice of the iPhone. So well worth it based on that Nationals win. It was an exciting win, and I guess an iPhone's being sacrificed. to the gods of hockey was worth it, according to you.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
also had our son's graduation party, which was very, very heavily themed in hockey. We hung up the jerseys, we put out some pictures, we had a slideshow with hockey. So I thought that went well. I had a good time. A lot of hockey friends were here. A lot of hockey friends from the past were here. Parents as well. The coach showed up. Any comments on that, or just had a good time?
No, I think we had a good time. It was fun to relive a lot of those memories, and we'll continue our path and see what comes next.
Can I do a couple things? A couple of other things for me this week. With one's with hockey and one's not hockey. It's other sports, but I'll get to that. So the first thing is the NHL draft occurred. I know you and I really we don't follow the NHL very closely. We are casual observers. We'll flip it on every once in a while. We'll go to a game. Did you see the draft record that occurred this week?
Was it the player who started playing when he was 13?
No, that's a good story, but this was one of the players drafted, the San Jose Sharks. He's a record holder in height, 7 foot
Oh,
1,
yeah. Yeah.
280 pounds. Alexander Karmenov. I gotta expect he's from Europe, but the tallest NHL player ever drafted. He is a beast. I saw a picture of him. I fear for any forward or anything that runs into this guy because he is a wall.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. No, I saw the story of the young man who started playing roller hockey in one of the Caribbean islands. I can't remember which, but had a family member that was maybe from Canada. But anyways, he moved to Canada when he was 13, made the transition from roller to ice at age 13, and was drafted into the NHL this week.
Folks, it's never too late. So there's a chance I could make the NHL draft next year if I
Yeah,
start.
no,
Okay, Angela says no.
no.
My last observation, it's World Cup season, soccer, and my group thread of buddies, they're all over this thing. I try to watch it. I can't. I know they keep saying it's comparable to hockey, but the flops and the low scoring and the huge goals, I just can't. I apologize if you're a soccer fan in addition to being a hockey fan, but the World Cup, no thanks.
Yeah, it's the flops for me. That's what I can't take. But that's one of those things that only happens what every 4 years or something. It's cool to see and see all the different countries come together, the different teams and whatnot. I'll suck it up and watch it every 4 years, but it's not going to be a day-to-day thing for me.
All right, let's keep it moving along and get to a recap of our last episode. Angela, what did we talk about last episode?
Well, we had a special guest on our last episode. A special guest on Ice Official, our friend Jeremy McWalter, joined us and gave us a rundown of all things officiating.
Excellent show. I listened back a couple times. I thought it was informative. I certainly learned a lot of stuff. I mean, I really asked, according to you and Jeremy, very stupid questions, but I think that's kind of the point of our podcast is I'm a dumb hockey parent who doesn't know crap. We actually got some feedback from one of our listeners, Martha, and she had left me a couple voice memos on our Facebook Messenger, Pucked Up Parents on Facebook, and she had mentioned that refs are also very empathetic to the kids and teaching them and helping them love the game. And she cited her 8-year-old child who is a goalie. And the goalie showed up to one of the games and just didn't want to play. Wasn't feeling it. Skates weren't sharpened. Just not feeling it. It was a new team. And the ref scouted over and asked, what was wrong? And the goalie said, My skates aren't sharpened. So the ref left the ice, came back, sat down with the kid and helped manually sharpen the skates and talked him through the upcoming game, explained that he was once a goalie, and it turned the child's day around. So again, show some empathy to the refs. Angela said it last week. Without them, the game doesn't exist. Yell all you want, scream all you want, but tamper it down. They're people too. Refs are people too. So excellent, excellent show, and I think there's power there for another episode, especially with Jeremy, because he was really good, really informative, and I have a ton more questions.
Yeah, I think that was fantastic. And not that you asked stupid questions, but those are questions that I'm surprised you're asking after 12 years of being around the sport.
I honestly don't pay attention at all to the ref, hardly ever, if ever. So let's get into today's topic. Angela, what are we talking about today? I think I pitched this topic. What are we going to go through?
Essentially, how hockey is infiltrated our lives for better or worse, but how hockey shows up in kind of our day to day life and maybe how our life has changed a little bit, or we make decisions based on things around our hockey life.
Yeah, my inspiration was that hockey has certainly changed the trajectory of our lives, but outside of the games, outside of the tournaments, everyday life, how hockey is with us. And we almost do it with our recap of the summer and spring where hockey in our lives each week. So we're going to expand on that quite a bit and see how hockey has infiltrated our lives. I think I originally pitched this as how hockey ruined our lives, but I see you change the subject. So I'll not title that because that sounds a little too negative.
Well, I was gonna say it doesn't necessarily ruin your life, but you definitely have some different things that show up around the house, and you may make some different decisions when it comes to different things. So let's start out with things around the house.
All right, what the puck am I doing? Hockey is in my life. It's injected into me, into my veins. I'm feeling it in my veins. I'm infested with it like herpes. Okay, that's a little drastic.
Ew. Yeah, no, let's not go there.
Let's talk about how hockey has infiltrated our lives just around our home here in Kentucky. We're in northern Kentucky. We got a nice little house with a garage. How has it impacted this house?
We can maybe talk about the mold and mildew that comes along with hockey equipment. But if you have a hockey player, you have equipment. The bigger they get, the bigger their equipment gets, the smellier it gets too. So you've got to think about where you're going to store your gear. Whether we keep it in the garage, we're lucky enough to have a garage. If we didn't have a garage, it would probably be in a laundry room or a basement, something along those lines. You really have to kind of think about where is that gear going to get stored in the off season and during the season when it's coming in and out of the house or in and out of the car a couple of times a week for practices and games.
If you visit our house, most people enter through our garage to get in our house, front doors for formal guests or whatever the hell you want to call it. But you have to walk by our kids' gear. It's there. We have like a gear locker. And it's almost when you walk in after they play, it's a damned if you do and a damned if you don't as a parent. And I'll expand on that what I mean. Do you leave, especially in weather like this where it's 100 degrees? And of course, our son's playing beer league. One of them's doing a weekly 3-on-3. Damned if you do, unzip the bag. And of course, we shut the garage at night. So it just hot boxes in there all night long. So the whole garage stinks. Or leave it zipped up until they use it next time. So now you're just
Oh,
basically, yeah, you're crock potting hockey gear. So it just reeks. Of course, good parents, not pucked up parents, would set everything out to dry, get it all cleaned up. But who's got time for that? And I think with our humidity right now, that's a lost cause.
well, yeah, I was going to say it's superhuman right now, but I think there are things that you can do to make that stink and that fermenting a little less. Obviously, hanging it up, at least scattering it out so it's not all contained within the bag,
Spread the
putting
wealth.
fans on it. Yeah, fans are one of the options that we use. Of course, I've tried everything from Lysol to Febreze to kind of cut down on the smell. There's not much you can do there, but guess what? That's one big thing that's going to infiltrate your life if you have a hockey player.
Yeah, my priest friend, Father Hardesty, shout out Father Hardesty, Louisville, Kentucky. He was not amused when I asked if he would come up and do a exorcism over my kid's bag because I think the spirit of the grossness has taken over the bag. And I move that stuff around constantly, trying to get to the deep freeze, or I'm trying. I'm trying to walk because the kids just drop it right there in the middle. So exposed to it all the time. Odor control, you can cover it with Febreze. I mean, really, you're just mixing up as far as I'm concerned with Febreze and Lysol and all that other stuff, you're just covering up a stink that's
Well,
gonna eventually permeate.
I will say Lysol is antibacterial, which some of that stink comes from bacteria. So I think that's good. Same thing with vinegar. That's going to help a little bit. Baking soda. One thing that I haven't tried yet that I think I'm going to try is like damp red bags that are supposed to absorb moisture.
Yeah, it's like
Trying
charcoal,
one
right?
of those.
Charcoal?
I don't know if
Charcoal
it's
or
charcoal.
something
I don't
else?
know what it is, but it absorbs moisture. You put it like in a damp basement or whatever. I think I might try that in the bags and see if that helps. Of course, fans, hanging it up. There's all sorts of gadgets out there you can purchase and or build to control or store your gear.
I gotta be honest, if I mow the grass tomorrow, I might put some damp red in my pants because I'm gonna have some sweaty ass, some swass going on if I
Ew.
mow the grass.
No one listen, it's bad enough we've gotta talk about stinky hockey gear. We don't need to talk about that too.
Alright, and then, of course, you get the famous gear soup, the old soak. We've had people walk in, "What's this in the tub? What's this black liquid in the tub?" Well, it's the old hockey gear soup.
Right, and then, of course, utilizing the washing machine for all the jerseys and socks and all the other stuff that can go in the washing machines. Trying to control that odor is the I think, probably the biggest thing that we've had to deal with, in terms of hockey in our lives.
We even thought about so if you've listened regularity, I'm a firefighter, and the firehouse is about a mile and a half from here, and we have a big industrial washing machine that we wash the gear in, and I told Angela, like, "If we wanna take our hockey stuff up there and wash it, we can do it, but, just way more convenient to do it at home." Now, on the tip of the hockey equipment sitting around the house, I thought of this idea. What about, what are we doing with hockey equipment outside of using it for hockey? So it's just laying around, and you're in a pinch, you're doing a chore in the garage, or you're working in the yard, and you're like, "That'll work." What are some
Well,
things we could do with our hockey equipment around the house?
you and our 18-year-old are significantly taller than I am, so when things go on the top shelf, I can't reach it, but I can reach it with a hockey stick.
I put this out on social media just asking if anybody had any uses, and a parent reached out to me and said she told her daughter, she's like, "You need to clean your room, pick up those dirty clothes." So the daughter, who I believe was a goalie, basically raked up all the clothes with the goalie stick and then pushed with the goalie stick all the clothes under the bed. The
That's
mom caught
fantastic.
the mom caught her and used a hockey stick to pull the clothes back out from under the bed. So watch out. Keeping a stick in the bedroom seems dangerous with lamps and everything, but yeah, the kid put it to good
Yeah.
use and the mom turned it right back on her.
Well, you can use that hockey stick to stir your gear soup too.
Oh, that's so gross. Now, I almost did this a couple weeks ago. We had garage problems, and I thought I was gonna have to snip the old garage cable because it was taut and the spring was broken. I was ready to clip that cable, but to save the old head, save the old melon, I was gonna put on a hockey helmet to protect myself. A hockey helmet's good to use for if you're cutting tree limbs or something like that. I think our kids have used it for other uses.
Well, our oldest used to use a hockey helmet riding his bike around the neighborhood. I mean, full cage and everything. If you remember that, he'd put on a hockey helmet and ride around the neighborhood on his bikes.
When our youngest learned to ride a bike, you're teaching them at 4 or 5 years old. By then, our oldest son had been playing for a while, so he had some extra gear laying around. Kid got mad about scraping his knees and his elbows, so he strapped on the little Mike hockey gear to ride it to learn to ride his bike. So you saw our kids zipping up down the driveway with hockey gear, and it worked.
Yeah, it did, but and thankfully that didn't last long because once he figured out the bike, then he lost the hockey gear. But yeah,
Well,
that was that extra kind of confidence of I'm not gonna fall down and scrape my knee. I've got hockey gear on.
you'd pull out the old shin pads the next winter, and you're like, "Why is there a big gouge out of this shin pad?" Oh, that's right. He ate it at the end of the driveway on his bike.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, and then let's talk about the piece of hockey equipment that's in every hockey bag that we can utilize for all kinds of things. No, hockey tape.
Hockey oh, we had a whole episode on this.
We had a whole episode on hockey tape. We talked about the actual uses for hockey tape, but you know what? I can use hockey tape for a lot of other things as well. It comes in handy for a lot.
Medical use, yeah, you need to put on a 4x4 gauze on your knee because you just wrecked your bike because 'cause you're learning to ride and forgot the hockey gear on. Use the tape. Holding up a picture, put the tape on it.
Yeah.
It's
Labeling things, grab a piece of
oh,
hockey
yeah.
tape and write on it. It's yeah, there's a million uses for hockey tape. So don't forget you've got that in that hockey bag.
More information on that, tune to our tape episode, which we surprisingly did a full 40 minutes on and is one of our more popular episodes, oddly enough. So what's that say about our other topics or what's that say about tape? I don't know. All right, now I said cup. What about the cup? What can you use it for, Angela? Go ahead.
What can I use the cup for? I don't know. I don't need a cup because I don't have those parts.
All right, we'll just move on to the next topic because I don't have anything either. I was just trying to test you to see if you had to use it to scoop rice out of the container or
Ew, no,
or,
that's disgusting. Ugh.
or use it as culinary to sift some macaroni and cheese.
Yeah,
Macaroni.
no, 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 no. That's disgusting. No, the cup stays in the bag.
All right, now let's move out of our garage. Now we're going through the house, and I'm up in my closet, or I'm in the kids' closet, or I'm in your closet, which is oddly overtaken parts of my closet. My clothing. How are your clothing impacted by we're a hockey family?
Well, we definitely all have a lot of winter wear. Lots of hoodies, heated jackets, beanies, wool socks, warm winter boots, even though it doesn't really snow a ton here. But I sure have some nice snow boots.
I now have a ton of hoodies. I love every one of them. I love hoodies, but I never expected to have this many. I have drawers full of wool socks. And not only that, they make your way to your car. You have a spare hoodie in the car. You have more socks in your car. You double up your socks. When wintertime hits around here and I'm going sledding with the kids or I do go for runs in the snow, I have zero fear about being warm because I have so much winter wear because of hockey.
Well, in addition to those hoodies, or in that hoodie collection, you probably have several hoodies with the kids' team logos on them.
That's true. You do have, and what's sad is you buy all this gear. The next season, they switch teams. It's like buying your favorite football player's jersey, and then they leave the team the next year. So now you got to rebuy it again and again. You have t-shirts, you have hoodies. If you're a true sports dad, you have the whole jumpsuit complete with a zipper jacket. You have hats. I mean, what am I missing here? From top to bottom, I've not seen underwear yet. Socks? Are there team socks?
I'm sure there's team you can put a logo on anything. So I'm sure that that exists. I don't think we have that, but there's also kind of the more generic kind of hockey, not necessarily logo, but a hockey saying on a t-shirt. I'm number one hockey mom, or hockey is my favorite season, or a lot of those types of shirts as well.
HE double hockey sticks, those shirts, right? Like funny sayings on them. Our kids wear the t-shirts. You don't scare me. I'll play hockey. Things like that to tell their friends when they go to school because the hockey's not an affiliated sport in our school. They go there, wear this gear, not just their team gear, but these hockey t-shirts. And my gosh, birthday gifts and presents and stuff like that. We'll get to that, but you get an abundance of those of hockey related clothing. And I got to say, back to the winter gear, for every pair of shorts I own, I probably have 5 sweatshirts or hoodies on top of that.
That's because we spend most of our time in a hockey rink. And even tonight, I'm going to take our youngest to the 3v3 thing at the rink. And guess what? I'm wearing a tank top and shorts right now because it is so hot outside. But when I go in the rink, I'm going to have a hoodie.
I would sit my bare ass in the stands right now if A, it wouldn't get me arrested, and B, I wouldn't embarrass myself because it is so hot. Now, we aren't big on this, but I think maybe some people are wearing the jerseys. Our kids don't wear jerseys around the house. You and I don't wear jerseys, but I know what happens. I saw Ferris Bueller, Cameron wore a Detroit Red Wings jersey. People do wear jerseys around the house. What do you think about that?
Clark Griswold wore a Blackhawks jersey in
Blackhawks.
Christmas Vacation. Yeah, no, I think and there are times that the kids have themed days at school and they're supposed to wear a jersey for whatever. They'll wear the jersey. And I think there are times that parents will wear the kids maybe last year's jersey to a game or something along those lines. And I think that's if that's your style, go for it. I think sometimes the kids will wear a jersey that maybe is too small to wear with pads as more of a shirt. To school or something along those lines. But then you got to think about all of those other, I guess, quote, uses for a jersey. You can display them, you can hang them up, you can upcycle them, cut them up into the blanket or different things that people do to kind of memorialize their
Oh, yeah,
time playing hockey.
the
Yeah, the
old quilt.
quilt. Yeah.
Yeah, the pillowcases. I think I've seen pillowcases done out of.
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of things made out of old jerseys, bags and quilts and pillowcases, just all sorts of different things. However creative you are, go for it.
I think we've even gifted some to, like, family and friends. Like, I think we gave my mom one of Sam's Swords jerseys. I think a niece or a nephew of mine out of Alabama, I think we gave them one. So you can always pawn off somebody. And those, I don't wanna say throwaway jerseys, but, like, the jerseys you get for, like, a weekend tournament or a camp, you can donate those, and people love them. You donate it to, like, a Goodwill store or to your local rink, and they can reuse them for other kids that are in need. I'm certain our friend Patrick Michael with, Hockey is for Everyone, I'm sure he would probably take jerseys if he had to.
I think too that those types of jerseys end up being used a lot for practice jerseys, stick time, that kind of thing. I think our son even one time cut up one of those types of jerseys and wore it as a tank top, cut the sleeves off of it. So lots of things going on there. But I do need maybe we can ask our listeners what are some ideas to do with all of these old hockey socks? We've got a million pairs of old hockey socks. What do you do with those? How do you upcycle those?
And the hockey socks, though, they take a beating. I mean, like we talked about on a previous episode, it's like after the first game, there's already a hole in them. What do you do? Yeah, I don't know. What do you do with them? You make some formal napkins to use at their wedding when they get.
Okay, you're not the creative type. I need to talk to some of our creative friends.
Now, back to the clothing, I will say as a hockey dad, not dad, but a hockey dad, the cliche dad was you buy dad a tie at Christmas. So dad got a tie, now work socks at Christmas. As a hockey dad, I'm getting hoodies, I'm getting heated sweatshirts and socks. Angela and the kids love to buy me stuff. And granted, I need it, but it's an easy purchase for hockey families is this type of stuff.
Especially the winter holidays, and of course, your birthday and my birthday both land in the middle of hockey seasons. That's an easy gift idea there. If your birthday was in July, I might have a harder time buying you hockey stuff for your birthday. So
I'll share a story, right? When Sam was very, very young, started playing hockey, but of course I was in the hockey dad beginnings phase, and Angela was in the I'm gonna buy Michael winter wear gift. And this is probably summertime. I'm cleaning, vacuuming out the couch, which is something you don't do regularly. Well, you should. You vacuum out the cushions, you pull the cushions out, you're vacuuming the springs. I found a pair of wool socks in the couch, in the springs.
No,
And
it was under the couch.
oh, no, it wasn't under. It was in tucked in the little like, behind the couch where you shove where the hose barely reaches, where the chips make their way down to it. Angela had hidden wool socks for me for Christmas and forgot about them, and I discovered them when I cleaned the couches later on in the summer. So Angela pulled another reference to Clark Griswold
Clark
in her
Griswold,
gifts
yes.
up in the rafters in Christmas Vacation. Angela hid some wool socks, forgot where she hid them, and I found them when I cleaned the couch out.
Yeah, well, stuff happens. Anyways, we've hinted about this in several episodes. What about the damage to your house?
The damage, honestly, and I think you're with me, I gave up. I gave up.
Yeah.
Just let's ride this thing out. Let's ride this hockey thing out while the kids still live here. We fix the necessities.
Right. So the window in the garage that was broken through and through, we fixed, but the one that's cracked, we'll leave that for now because eventually it's going to get broken through and through.
The dented garage. I always think of the movie Cars, where Mater's commented about his dents or memories. I'm like, okay, those are memories of my kids shooting parks. I'll keep it. Of course, we talked recently about our neighbor who was like, you got to move the hockey net. The kids' pucks are hitting my gas line. When they aim towards the road, the cars driving by, I cringe. The balls in the yard, which the bright orange ones, yes, easy to find, but the pucks, the mower tends to find them pretty easily.
Exactly. And that's always a not a good sound when you're mowing the grass.
And that always indicates to the families that ride by or people that ride by your neighborhood who don't know you, and they're like, "It must be a hockey family. There's a net. There's a kid out there shooting on the net. Oh, a puck just went flying by." You start to stick out like a sore thumb. And our garage is open a lot, so our kids' hockey gear is visible from the road sometime. And of course, when we lay it out to dry, it's visible from the driveway. So we are the weird hockey family in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. In fact, we've had people, if one of the hockey kids is over at our house, they just need to know what street we're on and they come down our street and just look for the driveway with a hockey net.
All right, we're still in the house. Now, we talked about this recently, but we'll kind of briefly touch on it. How you seek it out entertainment wise. I'm talking about on screen pop culture, hockey. Now, hockey's infiltrated your lives. Now you're taking a little more interest to it. Aside from like NHL games, the ECHL games, we talked about TV shows. And I think for non-hockey people, non-hockey parents, there's the pop culture shows that went beyond hockey parents and movies too, such as A Miracle on Ice, Mighty Ducks. But then as a hockey parent, you seek out the odd ones. I repeatedly talk about Shoresy. I don't know about your two shows, those crappy shows that I couldn't get into. It seemed like you were very, very early on with those because of hockey, and then they grew in fame and pop culture took them over.
Right. And I think I probably wouldn't have been interested in those shows without the hockey background just because it's like, "Oh, hey, these are hockey players. I can relate to that." It's just like anything. If you can relate to the situation in the show or the movie or whatever, it's going to make you more interested in watching it. And so I think that holds true in our hockey circles as well.
Interested and also judgy. And I'm gonna tease an upcoming episode, and we just talked about Mighty Ducks. Angela and I are gonna watch Mighty Ducks from the perspective of youth hockey parents and judge the hell out of it from a hockey parent's perspective. Just for fun, we get it. It's just suspend belief when you watch a movie, but we're gonna pucked up parent the Mighty Ducks movie. Now, additionally, social media. Facebook's popular, Instagram is popular, Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple right now, the pages you follow, the podcasts you listen to. Somebody follows you on Facebook, your friends, or on Instagram, they're like, why is Michael following ACH Division One hockey? Why is he's really into hockey right now? So your social media starts to resonate that you are a hockey parent.
It's called the algorithm. They're listening.
They
They
all listening.
they hear what we're talking about and get
Subscribe
into
to
the
Pucked Up
conspiracy.
Parents. Pucked Up Parents is the
Conspiracy.
best.
No, but it's true. You're on social media and you view a page, related to hockey in one way, shape, or form, and suddenly you're getting a lot of ads or other, accounts that are related that you start following or they keep popping up in your feed, and I think it's kinda cool, and we've talked about this before, the hockey circles are pretty small. So you often will come across somebody that you know, or you have some connection to. So I think that's kind of cool.
You also have situational awareness now, like, you're in a town, so you're driving through St. Louis for work or on vacation, like, "Ah, a Pirani's. There's a Pirani's hockey store right there." You're like the, Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing, "Look, look, there's a hockey store right there." Or you see a
Yeah.
sticker on the back of somebody's car. "Oh, look, look, they got a pucked up parent sticker." By the way, you can buy one. A pucked up parent sticker on the back of that car. Situational awareness goes up for hockey.
Yeah, for sure. But let's talk a little bit about our non hockey friends or non hockey circles and how that's impacted by your kids suddenly being involved in hockey year round almost. It changes your time and your availability to hang out with some of those other friends, not only for the kids, but for us parents as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, you get the invite, like, we have neighbors behind us, good friends of ours. Shout out to the Hagelmans, and it's, like, October, and they're like, "Hey, we should grab dinner one weekend." I'm like, "Yeah, that's good. What's April look like for you guys? We gotta get through hockey season." So it's almost like a, "Hey, we'll see you in the spring." Between the periods of September to end of March, our weekends are choppy at best, and we can't really commit to anything. That's including vacations, concerts, out of town visits, holidays. I don't know what else am
Right.
I missing. It's just like,
Um,
don't give a damn. Well,
Right.
Thanksgiving.
And it's one of those things where your schedule just suddenly becomes significantly more demanding. I know this happens with other sports as well, but you really do end up changing your social circle a little bit, and you really have to make a conscious effort to spend time with those non-hockey friends. For example, we have good friends that we've been friends with forever that we have a standing Christmas dinner situation set up because their kids were really big into soccer. Our kids are really big into hockey, and they're playing soccer in the spring and the fall and summer, and we are at the rink fall, winter, and spring. So it's really tough for us to make time to see each other.
Yeah, I literally booked that table January 2nd for that next December, and it's like our only opportunity to hang out with these people who we've known for 20 some odd years because of our conflicting schedules. I would also say though that hockey also is a good I don't wanna say it's a good and maybe I'm selfish as a hockey parent. It's a decent conversation starter because it's not soccer, it's not baseball, it's not everywhere, it's not an average sport. So people are really curious about your kid plays hockey? Tell me about it. Do they fight? What's the penalty box like? Where are you playing in Kentucky? You get those type of questions. It's a good conversation starter, and when I say conversation starter, it's not me starting the conversation. It's these non-hockey friends.
Yeah, I think there's definitely more questions about what not only the sport itself, but what life is like as a hockey parent, because it's just not what, at least in our non traditional area, it's not something that everybody does. That may be very different up in Massachusetts or Michigan or one of the states that is really known, Minnesota, that's really known for having a lot of hockey rinks and a lot of hockey players. Probably not the case there. Those stories are probably boring for
Like,
that.
what is it?
Right. Whereas for us, it's a novelty because there's not hundreds and hundreds of kids playing hockey in our area. It's a pretty small group.
Alarmed at the number of friends and relatives you and I have that have traveled far to come watch our kids play. Even friends who have kids who play their own sports will come watch our kids' hockey games because they're so exciting and so fast paced. And like, man, this is, what, no disrespect to soccer, baseball, or even football, but let's be honest. Hockey is so much more exciting. And I know people say on TV it's hard to follow and everything. That I get that. But in person, youth hockey's fun. Might's a little more questionable, but it's still funny to watch them fall down and get back up and play all over the place, but surprising the number of non-hockey parents who show up to our kids' games in support of our kids, but also just to say, "Well, let's see what's going on out there. They're playing hockey? What's that like?"
I think that happens a lot. And again, that's because we're in this non-traditional town. Obviously, that's going to be very different for our friends and followers in those larger markets.
If my friend came up to me and said, "Hey, man, my son's playing soccer next weekend. You wanna come watch?" I think I'd use our next topic I think I'd lie about a fake hockey tournament that we have to be at. So that's another good thing about hockey. You can lie about, or you
Okay, we're not going to
actually
advocate
lie.
for lying.
Okay,
We're just going to utilize hockey as an excuse. How about that?
that's works. We use hockey as an excuse. What's that? Aunt Esther is, having people over for a potluck dinner in her house? Darn it, I gotta be in Detroit for hockey. Sorry, I can't make it.
Yeah, I mean, that happens kind of on both sides of that coin. Sometimes you wanna go to that event or that
Yes.
party, and sometimes it's like, "Oh, man, darn, I can't go see Aunt Esther. Yeah, I'm gonna be somewhere else." But so I think that happens both ways, but I think that's one of those things that you're gonna run into with any sport, but I think it's more significant with hockey, especially for us in this area where there's not a lot of rinks, and we typically have to travel to play games.
So you're telling me when I say that I can't go to Aunt Esther's potluck dinner because of a hockey tournament, that karma's going to bite me in the ass in those front row seats I bought to see the Foo Fighters. I can't make it now
Yeah.
because I need Cleveland.
Yep,
Okay,
that's
karma's a bit.
that's karma biting you in the ass.
Karma is a bitch. Now we're talking about it. We talked about it earlier in this episode. It is hot as hell here. Well, you talk about hockey when you talk about weather, especially during the winter.
Well, I think you can kinda compare, like, "Hey, it's as cold in the rink as it is outside," or "It's colder in the rink than it is outside." I think there's a lot of that going on, and you also get to know the rinks that are really, really cold, and then the others that surprisingly have heaters. We know those are kind of the white whale of the hockey world, but some of them do.
Man, it's below freezing outside. It's like Northern Kentucky ice rink out there. And then you do the like the ice in the driveway too. You can, oh man, careful when you walk out to the mailbox. It's like an ice rink out there right now. It's slippery. You're gonna slip and fall.
I will say though, it's like feels like 100 degrees outside right now with the heat and humidity. And I will say that I am really happy that my kids play hockey so I can go to a nice cool rink on a day like today rather than sit out at a baseball game or a soccer game or something else. Because a few weeks ago, if you remember when our youngest had that flag football tournament and it was super hot and I was sitting out in the sun all day watching that flag football tournament, which was fantastic. It was a lot of fun, but damn, it was hot.
I drive by them and I take Henry up to hockey or even to work and back. You see these parents outside in their little foldy chairs, and I'm like, sucks to be you, man. It's 100 degrees outside. I can't. I don't. I would be sitting there in a speedo with my feet in an ice cooler, eating a freezer pop. It looks miserable. And we were there. Our kids play soccer briefly. Our kids play baseball. In my opinion, it's easier to get warm by piling on the layers than it is to get cool because there's only so many clothes you can take off in front of kids before the authorities are called.
That's right. Well, and you also, you think about the gear that we take into a game to keep us warm. In fact, I think we did an episode on that too. But you think in going back to, the baseball or the soccer or whatever that's playing outside right now where it's 100 degrees, you're taking a tent and you're taking a cooler and you're taking all of the things to try to keep yourself and your player cool in temperatures like this.
It's funny you say that. In memory of being cold, I reposted that episode today on our Facebook page about about keeping warm in a rink, just good times when it was not 100 degrees. Let's get moving on. We've talked about this briefly. Are we there yet? Rinks and road trips, and not necessarily talking about the road trip or the hotel stays, but the impact. And we've talked about this a couple times. The old family vehicle. Now you're buying a family vehicle with hockey's in the back of the head. And Angela, no one is a better example of this than you are.
That's true. So instead of Clark Griswold and the family truckster, I just went ahead for the family pickup truck with the thinking that I can put the gear in the bed of the pickup truck and I don't have to smell that on that 4 or 5 hour drive home from the tournament, which is a total win for me.
You goalies, I mean, the goalie gear bag is huge. So you got to think. I mean, if you have a little hatchback, it's not going to fit. My trunk barely fits Sam's bag, and Sam has the same type of car that I have. Sometimes I have to kick the bag in, like I'm raising the trunk and doing a yeah karate kick to get the bag to fit in the car, and it just sits back in that trunk, and it also hot boxes too as well in that trunk. If Angela, if you ever open our son's trunk right now, you raise it up. What's hanging there? You ever see it?
The I drove his car the other day. The what do you call them?
The little
The
the little
the
scented tree, like a like a
trees.
like a cat
Yeah,
cover.
this
He has them hanging in his trunk when you
Yes, because it smells so bad. He had just put a new one in his car when I drove it the other day. I was gagging the entire time I was driving his car. But yeah, I think that's key, especially if you've got a goalie or a bigger bag. I know one of our goalie families took the goalie gear when they were car shopping to make sure the goalie gear would fit in the vehicle.
You'll have to tell me that story offline. And we've even seen parents who, because of the long road trips on these when you get on these double A teams and the triple A teams, or especially where we're non-traditional hockey town, they buy like travel vans. I mean, it's almost like I don't want to say a school bus, but it's like a black bus. Help me out with this. Or do you remember
It's
this? They
like
got like a black van.
it's a travel it was a travel van, and it was set up for comfortable travel. You had the couple of rows of nice plush captain seats and plenty of room for gear in the back, and you could take, I don't know, 6 or 8 people with you. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's that. I've also seen at tournaments where families have driven their RV, and they've got their RV parked out in the rink parking lot. So I think there's a lot of different ways you can go about that, and I don't know if that RV was purchased with hockey in mind, but it's getting used for hockey.
Did you open the rink door and the dad next to the RV was yelling, "Shooter's full"?
All right, we've had way too many references to Christmas Vacation this episode.
Thinking of Christmas because it's a cooler time as opposed to this hot ass July 1st day that we're dealing with right now. Now, of
That's
course,
right.
because of the travel, because of the hockey gear, the car is taking a beating. It's devaluing your car. Scratches are going to happen. Whoops. Henry's trying to put a stick in the car and he just slung it on my nice little paint job. Oil changes are way more frequent. I know we're close personal friends with our mechanic for this very reason and the
Well,
tire
for a
wear.
variety of reasons. You have to keep that in mind. You are gonna have a higher mi probably have a higher mileage vehicle if you are driving to a lot of these tournaments, which obviously increases your general maintenance, your oil changes, your tire rotations. I know there have been times we've taken a vehicle in, "Hey, Mr. Mechanic, do you think I'm gonna need new tires? I gotta go to Michigan in February, and it's December." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, you should probably get new tires before you're driving in the snow." Those kinds of things, good to keep in mind and kind of plan ahead for.
To pile on top of that, I actually did this. I bought tires for my car and I would just buy normal tires, but I knew that I would be traveling far in the dead of winter in a Maxima. So I had to pay a little bit extra scratch to get some snow worthy tires just in case I got caught in a snowstorm. I planned it for Michigan driving while living in Kentucky.
Just things to keep in mind when you're in it for the long haul. If you're a parent just starting out, don't think you need to go out and buy a new car right now. But if you're in the midst of your hockey journey and it's time to buy a new car, these are some things to think about.
And then think about how if your kid's a mite, when they get older and older before they can drive themselves, that gear is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And also, you're going to want to store stuff. We've talked about this. You want to store stuff yourself: blankets, extra hoodies, socks, emergency equipment, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe go look at that RV or pickup truck like Angela did. Now, I want to equate this to like the regular vacations as we travel and you look at airlines as they get expensive. Suddenly, long road trips aren't as bad as they used to be. I can remember before hockey driving to my parents' house. They lived 2.5 hours from here. Man, that was far. God, it was such a long drive. Now, after hockey, 5 hours is nothing. Where's
Right,
your
right.
where's
I mean, I went to college 8 hours away from home. For me, 8, 10 hours is fine, but I think you also have to look at it like in terms of how long would it take to fly? I think for us, Chicago's a good example. A lot of times you can get a really cheap flight to Chicago, but by the time you go to the airport and a flight gets delayed and you pay for parking and all of those things, you might as well have just driven.
my car? I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever drive from Kentucky to Buffalo, New York, up through Canada, around Canada, down to Detroit. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that car's still on the road right now, and it wasn't a bad drive. You cut it some of these vacations, but again, I'm doing every road trip I take now outside of hockey. I compare it to hockey. Charlotte, North Carolina, it's an 8 hour trip. I can make that. Maybe, maybe not, but it depends on what flights are. But you measure distance these days in hockey trips.
I think that's definitely true, and I think you measure other things around travel and hockey trips, like, that's a stay-to-play level hotel, and I think we've talked about this before, but we have had the opportunity to visit a lot of random cities that we would not have otherwise visited, and I think that leaves us open to visiting other cities as well for personal travel or for vacations because we've found such great food and culture and things to do in these random cities that every city in this country probably has something to offer, and I think our eyes are much more open to that now than they would have been previously.
Have zero issue driving up to Pittsburgh right now to get me a Primanti Brothers sandwich. I'm in love with that sandwich, coleslaw, French fries, and deli meat on a grilled on a sandwich. It's delicious, and I love the city of Pittsburgh. Henry and I talked about going to Cleveland. We had such a good time in Cleveland, just going there in the off season, watch a Guardians game, and check out the lake. So yeah, it does. It expands your palate and expands your visitation to these cities that you normally wouldn't go in. So it's gives you ideas of where to go. We should come back here for summer vacation. Detroit in the winter sucks, but I've been to Tigers games in the summer, and it's a glorious city.
Right. And I'll tell you, so last week I was in some meetings. We were talking about conference and training, a training session planning, and we were talking about venues and potential cities. And we were talking about the big cities on the coast are really expensive to get to and trying to keep costs down for those types of conferences. And I'm like, hey guys, how about we start thinking about some of these Midwest cities and throwing out the Detroit and the Cleveland and Pittsburgh and places along those lines that we've been for hockey that I know have, a great town. They're going to have the hotel availability and they're going to be relatively reasonable for us to plan a larger event for my work that we can have people come from all over the country and visit these smaller cities and still have a great experience when it comes to the food, the culture, the things to do, the museums, the history, all of those things.
I'll expand on that and say that whenever we visit a city, you and I, on a little getaway with the kids or just you and me, hockey's done this to me. I got to go luxury hotel. The state of plays, the crap hotels we've stayed at. Michael's going 5 stars into Nashville. I'm going VIP. I'm going to the boutique hotel. I'm going to have a nice breakfast. I'm going to stay across the street from the venue of the concert that I'm going to. That is, I don't want to say it's spoiled me. It's the actual opposite. It has made me, when I visit these cities now in my own time, not related to hockey, I'm going full out with the hotel so I don't have to stay on an outer loop hotel on the side of a highway next to a Cracker Barrel, next to a liquor store where people are fighting in the lobby.
So you're saying you don't like the cookie cutter hotels that we stay at for the hockey tournaments?
I'm exactly saying that. If I fall asleep at a cookie cutter hotel, and if you if you chloroformed me and took me to one of these hotels and I woke up and I can't tell you what city I'm in based on looking at the hotel, I don't wanna stay there. I
Yeah,
wanna
I
look
mean,
out my
I get
window
that.
I wanna look out my window and go, "Oh, there's the St. Louis Arch right there. Oh, the concert I'm going to, there's Madison Square Garden right there. I just need to walk across the street." As opposed to driving 40 minutes to the event, as opposed to staying at some cookie cutter hotel.
Man, I don't know what to tell you there. I mean, I think that's fine. I don't know if that everybody's gonna fall in that bucket with you, but I mean,
VIP
it's
Angel.
nice to do
Mindset.
something different, but
Yeah,
that's not for
full effect
everybody.
right here. That's who I am.
Uh,
Alright, life moves pretty fast. Reflections. Hockey has infiltrated our lives. Let's just put it out there. Yes, we go to hockey games. Yes, we go to tournaments. Yes, we go to practices and all-season training. But in our day-to-day lives, it's always there.
it's in the background, and I think my reflection is that if your kids decide to play hockey and they're in it for a couple of years or their entire childhood, I guess, kind of like our kids have been, it's going to change your life. You're going to make adjustments around it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I think at the end of the day, just got to roll with it and try not to let it overwhelm you and enjoy the process.
To Hans's point, it's fine. Don't let it overtake your life. Embrace it. It's gonna become part of your identity, but don't let it take over your identity, I guess. The way I
Yeah,
would
exactly. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it is part of your identity, but don't make it your full identity. You're still, the person you were before you became a parent. You're still going to be the person you are after you become a hockey parent. It's going to change some of your thoughts and the way you do some things, and maybe the way your house looks, or where you store the hockey gear, or what vehicle you drive. But have fun with it, and don't let it overwhelm you or take over your life or your personality.
Alright, that was a good one. So is that your tip of the week, or do you have something else? It becomes part of your identity, don't let it take over your identity, but, do you have another tip of the week?
I mean, I think it's just all about balance. Obviously, there's a lot to being a hockey parent. There's a lot that will come into your life as a hockey parent, but also try to balance it out with those other things in your life. If you enjoy, going out for runs, make sure you're still doing that. If you enjoy going out with your friends, travel, whatever else you do in your life, make sure you're still doing that too, so that you don't become overwhelmed by the hockey piece.
Yep. Don't alienate your non-hockey friends, your non-hockey relatives. Still keep up with them. Social media is out there. Long distance is free these days, so it doesn't take anything to
Long
reach
distance?
long distance back in the '80s when you
I
always were.
do, but I can't believe you're you're referencing that. How about, hey, everybody has a cell phone. You can make quick calls and text messages, and we have FaceTime and Zoom and all of this other fabulous technology, and we don't need to talk about the old long distance pay by the minute.
All right, Angela's gonna make me feel like I'm 100 years old. It's 6:30 right now, so I need to shuffle off to bed. So let's finish up with our outro. Angela, what do you got?
Yeah, I just want to again thank everyone for listening. Please follow, subscribe, and share. Leaving us a comment or question on whatever platform you listen on helps us out. Reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. We love to interact with our listeners, hear your questions, comments, and see what's going on in your hockey world.
We do love the comments. You'll hear we reference them whenever somebody drops us a message and we think it sounds good. We're gonna probably share your story online. I always ask, can I share your story? More times than not, they say yes. Like, listen, follow, and share. We have merchandise tagged to the top of our page. Get yourself a blanket to cover up in this 100-degree weather, or get yourself a shirt to slice up into a tank top because it is hot. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Always remember, keep your stick on the ice. We're all in this together. Goodbye.
Out before dawn, can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another week.